I believe we're live. Pete Butler in the house. As if I feel that I don't do enough video, boys and girls. So I thought I'd just, turn this bad boy on. As some of you have seen before, been ring light. Okay, bought that from the range, 14 quid. The tech is out there, guys and girls. It's unbelievable. We've got our own TV studio, so we can educate and motivate people. Now, this video has really come about from a conversation I was having with a client yesterday about budgets, okay? And they've got some really heavy hitters, i.e., some really high spending agents in town or around their area. So it led me to basically go, like, let's not even think about like trying to overspend them, but instead go into the cupboard. Should have some boxing gloves in here, shouldn't I? And put on the boxing gloves. And the boxing gloves is a metaphor for smarter boxing, smarter fight smart. Now, we know that when people think about selling a house, it's not just a one-trick pony. It's a journey. So it's not, and there could be metaphors for that as well, but I won't do that today. But basically running ads on a very, very tight budget, i.e., 10 quid a day, 5 quid a day, so £100 to £200 a month. What would I do if I'm in London, South East, for instance, where an average cost per click can just be, just getting one click can be that alone. So, my advice was, and it always will be, the display network tagged in with YouTube, okay? Because YouTube, basically, if we put educational content out on YouTube, and if it's tagged right and named right and you've got the right content, people will find you. As Tim Robin highlighted a few months ago, he's got a fantastic channel down there in Brighton. And he's basically got him an instruction, which is great. And I hope you've sold that, by the way, Tim, if you're watching. But and please do let us know. And if you want to make a comment, by the way, then just give StreamYard the approval to sort of use your name. If not, just go under user, but put your name in as well. So, but there's no one on here live, I don't think, as of yet. So I thought, anyway, display network and YouTube advertising. YouTube is massive. We can't even spend a $5 a day in certain areas because it's that cheap. Because we're a big fan of those skippable ads that you've probably seen me run before. So it's like, you're thinking about selling. If you're not, press skip. If you think about moving, put more words in. If you think about moving, stay tuned. If you're not, press that skip button just there. And then obviously there's a skip button that appears just here on the screen. So here on the screen, if I'm looking right now there, so skip button. If you haven't looked at YouTube, look at it. You'll see ads that pop up on front of the videos that you want to watch. And those are the ads I'm talking about. Now, if people press skip, great. Even better becomes it because it basically doesn't cost us any money. Okay. If they then choose to watch it for the next, 3 or 4 minutes or whatever your content is, then that's great. Then they've almost, not quite, put their hand in the air and said, I'm going to watch and see what's going on here. Who doesn't like to know about property? The UK or the world knows, especially in the Western world, we're all fascinated by house prices, and obviously we want to make sure that we're not losing money or going to negative equity. So it's always a subject for debate. So you will get people that aren't, interested but not thinking about moving, and then they will hopefully then when they are thinking about selling, they will come to you anyway. But put some good content out on YouTube was my advice, and then follow them up on Gmail ads, and you can do that for with a budget of about 150 quid to 200 quid a month easily, depending on where you are, of course. You might spend a lot less and you might spend a lot more. But yeah, those are you don't have to necessarily be at the top of Google when someone actually looks for you. It's advisable, depending on the cost per click and cost per valuation. If your average fee is like 10 grand or 20 grand, you'll have a bit more money in the pocket, hopefully, than someone who's going to get 1,500 quid or 2 grand. So it becomes relative, but from a testing point of view, to to validate the idea whether it's going to work for you, and it does work. The only reasons why Google Ads wouldn't work for you is that you're not tracking, okay, or you're not picking up the phone, or you haven't got enough your eye on the ball in terms of the data, because the amount of people that I've just come across it today, where we've driven leads to an estate agent over the last few months, and one of the issues that's been highlighted is that I'm not answering the phone quick enough, which is almost like it's like a crime's been committed, because we got blamed that Google Ads wasn't working. When we looked at the data, when we looked at the we looked at the data, we realised that we were sending them phone calls from people that had Googled how much is my house worth, and really hot, like real hot intent, and they'd paid, I don't know, about £2 or £3 a click. So, for a phone call, I think we were spending about 25 quid. Now, if someone doesn't answer that phone, you've lost the lead. Even more so, not returning the call. Luckily, I jump in on we've got the call tracking system, so we jump on the call. We basically go in as the agent, phone the homeowner back and say, sorry, we missed your call. How can we help you? And then we tie that up then, so we become the linchpin really, or the bridge. However, it's not what we want to do, but if it's a case of saves the valuation. So we do have that done, but Google Ads does work, and it works very well. It wouldn't got to the stage where it's at now. It's the place where actually people go to look. I know we're in a very social world, but we're all scrolling our phones at 5,000 miles an hour. But anyway, to stop this being a rant, YouTube and Google Ads, Google display ads, if you don't want to be at the top of Google Ads. So and that's always been the case, to be honest with you, because it is, being at the top of Google can be a bit of a money pit if you haven't got deep enough pockets. But there's other parts of Google that you might not be aware of, such as a small little channel called YouTube, and also the display network. Now, if you need any help with that, if you need a description or information on what the display network is, then just reach out to us, drop a comment in here, and I look forward to helping you on the next video. All right, guys and girls, take care.